To make a new application is pretty simple. On the home page, you can push new application, or again in that menu, you can select new application. And it's going to bring you into this page. And so this is where we start to build an application. And so we can enter past applications, we can enter future applications, and you can do it right from this page. So the first thing you want to do is you want to name the application. So let's say that this is my first proxy app. So I'm going to go straight some proxy on the turf, and it's going to ask you then where. So this is kind of the who, what, when, where, why type of a thing. So first we're going to go through where are we going to spray with what, and so we're going to spray our greens, and then this is an important box. There's this excess area to be treated here, and this allows you to either add or remove square footage from an application. The system already knows how big your greens are. But say you want to go also spray the driving range tee and you needed to add an extra 20,000 square feet. You could put 20,000 square feet into there and then add that square footage. Counter to that, if you wanted to not spray the 18th green and that green's 6,000 square feet, you could subtract off 6,000 square feet and the system will account for it. If you do add or subtract square footage, sometimes it's nice to put it up in the notes. First proxy app, and then say with the range tee, so you'd know what that was included with it. Or if you were going to spray your approaches today with the greens, put plus approaches and then add the square footage in there. That's why I said during the setup, add the square footage that you normally use, but realize that you can change it based on this excess area to be treated. And again, you can use negative numbers to subtract square footage. Then you can choose the date. Again, you can go forward, backwards, and let's go back a couple days so we can see the growing degree days accumulating. And then you pick the sprayer. And so we have all our different sprayer setups. And so we would go in and pick, let's say it's the Frost 2 gallons per 1,000 sprayer. You can also then put in your anticipated start and stop times, or if it's in the past, what they actually were. And this reason is not to make extra work. It's because then the system will pull the weather data that happened when you sprayed during those exact hours. And that gets logged on your spray sheet. So if you're trying to use it for pesticide reporting requirements, again, now the system is going to grab what was the weather at the time of the application. And so it's nice to add that data in and then add your applicator. In doing this, when you're using Greenkeeper Premium, on the My Course page under your information, once you go to Premium, you can add in your pesticide applicator license. And it can be either your license, or if you spray under a different person's license at your course, you can then add that to the spray, and again becomes part of the spray record. Then we're going to push save. Now it's telling me how many gallons I need to apply to go make this application. So it's saying I need 1.5 tanks or 260 gallons of materials to get the application out on these greens. So now we look at that and it's pretty good. So the question would be, if you wanted to add square footage, say we did want to put that 20,000 square foot, I add that in and I push save, and you'll notice now that it updated. So if you want to subtract off 15,000 square feet, push save, you'll see how that value is changing. And so if you do need to manipulate this number, say you want it to be exactly 1.5 gallons, you could maybe come in here and try to manipulate the square footage a little bit and get it to be, exactly 1.5 tanks. So that's a little bit on how that runs. So then you can come in and start adding your products. And so in this application, we are going to apply proxy, and we're going to apply a fungicide, a growth regulator, and a fertilizer. So we're going to go in and grab those applications. So first, let's grab the fungicide, because this is kind of a pretty standard, easy thing for us to do. So we're going to grab Banner Max 2 and push add this product. It's going to then tell me the application interval that you think it's going to last. And right now, it only allows you to have one. In version 2, you can add what the minimum expected life expectancy of the product is in days and what the maximum. So like on a label, it might say 14, 28 days. You could put 14 to 28 days. Or if you know a product at your course generally lasts 21 to 28 days, you'd put 21 and 28. But for now, you just got to put in the number you think is going to last at your course. Maybe be a little conservative. So I'm going to say 21 days. And then you can put the rate you want to use. And again, if you like to work in fluid ounces per acre and you don't want to see it always in ounces per thousand, you can edit that on the manage products page. And so then you can tweak that number there. So if it's 0.5 fluid ounces per thousand, maybe you want to go at 0.8. You can save that there. And then it says, what are the tests, the pests? And so what the system does is it looks at the active ingredient in Banner Max. It sees propiconazole. It then scours our records to see which pests are controlled by propiconazole, and it lists them. And so if you want to log a specific pest you're going towards, like maybe you're having some leaf spot concerns, or maybe some other types of pests, you can pick from this list, like yellow patch. Is it curative or preventative? You can set that. And then any kind of notes, like, older bottle. So anything you might want to keep track of, you can add here and push save. Now you're going to see how much product is required to spray this. So we need 105 fluid ounces. We have 15 gallons available, and the cost of the application is $164. And again, I used fake numbers for these costs here, so don't take that as what this would actually cost. But as you enter in your product inventory, it would show you, what that product costs. And then it gives you a breakdown below of how you'd make your mixes. So in the full tank, you'd put 70 fluid ounces, and in the partial tank, you would put 35 fluid ounces. If it was exactly 2 tanks, then you would just see the full tank. The partial tank would say NA because you wouldn't have a partial tank. You would just know you mix it up twice. So let's add some more products. Now let's go grab our proxy. And so we're going to do proxy on 200 growing degree day intervals and the rate. And you can see it's right here at 200 growing degree days. And my only pest I can choose is PGR and push save. If I then come in and grab some Primo to add with it, I could. But just for example now, we'll use Trim It just to show you something new with Trim It. So we're going to grab Trim It PGR and add that. And when you're mixing the PGRs, or adding them to your mix, you're going to also notice that it's going to give you an estimated amount of suppression. So on this grass species, on putting green mowing height, if I apply Trim It 2SC at 10 fluid ounces per acre, I expect 36% clipping yield suppression at peak suppression. So it won't be right away, it won't be tomorrow, but as the clipping yield suppression intensifies, we're going to get more and more suppression. You can see that the default reapplication interval for this rate is 262 growing degree days. You might say, Bill, I want more suppression. So that you can come in here and put in a higher rate, like 16. And now at 16 ounces, you get 45% suppression, and the interval increased to 278 growing degree days. So if you leave that blank, it's just going to use the default. If you want to add your own, like I want to stretch it out to 300, put in 300, and then the system will track it to 300. Again, the target pest you can leave blank, but if you want to say it's PGR, you can. And so you could add the application there. And so we can save it. One thing that you're going to know is that the rate that we chose is higher than what the label said it would be. It says, do you want to proceed? Yes or no. And if you want to edit it, you can, or you can delete it. So we're actually just going to delete the Trim It in this application. And then finally, let's add some fertilizer. And so we can first try it with some soluble urea and add that. And so this would be, again, urea that you could add into the tank. And this looks a little bit different too. There's no way to say how long the product lasts because we don't really track fertilizers that way. But it does help out with the math. So if I want 0.2 of a pound of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet, put in 0.2 for this box and then click anywhere and it tells you the rate. Then when I push save, now I see I have a whole ton of urea available, and I'm only going to need 50 pounds. And since urea is so darn cheap, it's only going to cost me like $17. You also, though, could have those liquid products. So we made that fake liquid fertilizer, and so let's add that to the application. But it still follows the same procedure. If I come in and say I want 0.2 of a pound of nitrogen per thousand, it tells me I need to put down a whopping 20 fluid ounces per thousand square feet to achieve that rate. And then it also is going to say that you're going to get 0.3 pounds of P2O5, 1/10 of a pound of potassium, and 0.02 pounds of iron. And so if I come in here and change the rate, say I have a 10 ounces, now you'll see the amount of fertilizer being applied also is changing. So let's save that. And so now again, it updates and shows that instead of that urea costing $17, my fake liquid fertilizer is costing me $410. And that's actually for half of the amount of fertilizer that I wanted to apply. So once you have that and everything looks good, you push finalize application. And you're going to get a spray sheet that's going to have the name of the app, the course location, where you sprayed, any excess square footage, how many tanks, what the sprayer was. So that's just all kind of the legal side of things. The products, and so you have all the products that you applied. So we have our fertilizer, we have the proxy with the EPA registration number, the danger word on it, how much active ingredients there. Then we have our Banner Max 2. And then finally below we have the total amount required and then the mixing recipes. And then you also have the weather information at the application because again, we post dated it a few days back from today, which is the 15th of March. We said the application went down on March 11th. If you print this and you can write some notes in here, application was completed by me. If I had my EPA, if I had my pesticide license number in here, it would also then have that license and state, and I could sign this, and if I need to do that for my state. Some states you gotta actually print it and sign it as a legal record, and so you could use it that way. This is going to open up in a new tab, and so if you go back to the home page now, you're going to see that there's my Banner Max 2 and my proxy, and they're being tracked. And so that is how we make new applications in Greenkeeper.